Hey folks, this video is to explain to you guys what needs to be done when performing the manual swap on your Panther regarding the wiring on the transmission. I'm going to be covering two separate um, generation of cars, which consists of the 92 and a half to 2004 and '05 to 11. There are some slight difference, and I'm going to be as clear as possible with that. So what we're looking at right now is the actual wiring harness of a 2004 and less Crown Vic. If you have an '05, this harness is actually part of the main engine harness, so you're gonna have to perform these modification under the car. Um, Short and sweet, you've got your two main connectors. You got upper O2 sensor. The other one is part of the engine harness. The two blue ones are the rear ones, and then you got the vehicle speed sensor for the '04. '05, you will have another connector that looks like this one here. That's probably going to be more towards here. That is for the turbine shaft sensor. Before I go any further with that, I'm not going to be talking about that turbine shaft sensor modification because it's going to get a lot of people confused about it. Go on my YouTube page. I'm covering what needs to be done with the tune and the crankshaft sensor in order to make it work. That being said, let's go back on topic. So we've got this, and we have the digital transmission range sensor connector here. You have to remove the little plastic yellow cap in there, and then with a little pick you can actually pry those wires out of it and make it work as it intended. And lastly, we've got the digital transmission range sensor that is part of the linkage on the automatic transmission. So what we need to do is we need to add those two connectors on our harness. On the left, we have the backup light switch, which is round. And here it's the vehicle speed sensor for the manual transmission. So this sensor will actually go directly here. Regardless of the pinout, you simply run those two wires to those two wires here and call it a day. No need to be all crazy about colors. It's gonna perform exactly like it should. I highly recommend you guys search for that using quality butt connectors and crimp tools like that. Really handy. So once this is done, we're gonna take care of the backup light switch. Now let's take a look briefly at Ford's wiring diagram here. Regardless of the colors on the wires that you're gonna end up having to deal with, I think there's maybe one color for wire number 10. No, sorry, it is number 9, wire number 9. That might be different depending of your year. We want to deal with number 9, 10, 11, and 12, which are on your connector, easily labeled as such. So what do they do? 9 and 11 are for the backup light, and 10 and 12 are for the starting system. So let's go back on topic with the backup lights. So what you want to do is you're going to take number 9 and 11. You're going to cut the little wire terminal off the wire, and then you're going to extend those wires with at least 16 gauge wires, and then you're going to connect those two wires with your backup light connector. Regardless of the color, once again, it doesn't matter. Once you're putting the shifter in reverse, you're closing up the loop and current will flow through those two wires. Now for starting system, we're looking at wires number 10 and 12, which are those two here. So you will once again need to extend those two wires with a 14 gauge wire. You need to extend those to the neutral safety switch on your clutch pedal assembly. I know a lot of people are not using that. You should really use that for safety reason, of course. What it does is when the pedal is resting like that, clutch is fully engaged, the switch is actually in open loop. When you depress the clutch and you basically release the plunger here, and it closes the loop, so you can now start your vehicle normally. That's how it works. It's fairly simple. Two wires, those two wires going to the neutral safety switch, and you call it a day. Now the digital transmission range sensor still has to be connected on the car. What I did was to do a little fancy bracket, so it's actually bolted on the side of the manual transmission. What it does is you're gonna move this white plastic bushing until that little notch here is past the neutral mark here. So this way, by leaving that transmission range sensor in drive, you're gonna be able to use your cruise control function. That is only valid, as far as I know, for any 04 and less. Apparently 05 to 07 you can actually do that and still have your cruise control function properly. Anything above 08 is a little tricky. Nobody actually made it work, as far as I know. I'm not saying it's not doable, but PCM calibration tend to be a little tricky for those years, so it may not work. This is also very true for any 05 plus while performing the PCM trick that I mentioned earlier about the turbine shaft sensor. You still need to leave that in drive, because PCM will be looking for that resistance here and in drive. So you really need to have this hooked up on the wiring harness. That being said, I think that's pretty much about it as far as I can remember. So 4 wires here that needs to be extended to either the backup light switch and neutral safety switch. Then this little one here goes to the vehicle speed sensor. Make a little bracket for that to mount that sensor on the side of the transmission. And you plug everything back. Make sure you cap off those existing holes, and that will be it. I hope it's good enough for you guys. I tried to cover as much as I could. Like I said, don't freak out about the 05 plus PCM trick you have to do. It's fairly simple. Only have to jump to those 2 wires. So like I said, it's being explained into another video. Hope that's clear enough for you guys. Thanks for watching.